So I would say go back, reevaluate what your why is, why you're doing it. And then from there, seek inspiration, watch videos, read, whatever it takes, because dude, we all get down. We all feel like failures sometimes. It's really hard to pick yourself up. So reach out to someone, just do something other than, if it's not working, change your modus operandi and just keep going.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. This is Eric LeClaire over at Push Press, and we are continuing our series of In the Trenches. We're taking a look today at entrepreneurial leadership as well as lessons learned. And today I'm joined by a friend. I mean, this is kind of the joy and the luxury of getting a chance to do this series, is I get a chance to kind of wind back the clock to not only my role as a coach and a strength and conditioning entrepreneur, but at the same time bring folks onto the podcast that have impressed me, not as clients, but someone who actually had a chance to go from client all the way to business owner and then all the way across the country. She's been a phenomenal student. She's been a phenomenal coach. And I can't wait for Shannon to tell her story today. So from the other side of the country, Shannon Franklin, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm really excited to be here.
Right on, right on. So for those that don't know either the CrossFit landscape or the weightlifting landscape, or, you know, all the different circles that we've belonged to, in what, 15 years, 14 years, something like
Close,
that? Yeah. Fill me in, or fill our guests in. Where did your passion for fitness come from?
Sure. I've always sort of dabbled in fitness, more like a runner on the side. And then I actually found CrossFit through your gym, through a girlfriend of mine, and just fell in love with everything about it, from the camaraderie to the coaching, the leadership, the being pushed to do things that I never thought that I could. Just everything about it I loved. Also lifting. At the time, I think lifting was very kind of new for women, and it was kind of a big deal to be out there as a girl lifting heavy weights. And so that definitely played into it as well. And so I discovered weightlifting and CrossFit and fitness really through you.
So now let's wind that clock back. So what year was that? Wasn't that 2010 or 2009, somewhere around there?
It was earlier. I started my boot camp / gym in 2009. So I want to say it was 2008. I know you were still in your old building for a few months before I joined, when I joined, yeah.
Yeah, but that's good, because that's a good demarcation line for those that are, coming into the strength conditioning world here in the last 2 years. You've got a chunk of time under your belt, not only as client, me to you, but at the same time, you stepped off and you were like, I am going to do this. I'm going to run a business. I'm going to start as a boot camp, outdoor fitness, obviously where you lived and the resources you had available to you. Walk our audience through that mindset from I'm client, but now I want to be coach. I want to be owner.
Yeah, sure. So let's see. At some point along the line, I made the decision that I wanted to do what you were doing. And I don't know, so something grabbed a hold of me, and I just decided I was just going to do it. And so I didn't have a whole lot of money at the time. And I believe that's right when the Great Recession was starting to hit. And so I started off in a park, and I borrowed actually a lot of equipment from you. And then I actually had $0 for promotion. And I don't think the internet was really as good as it is now. And I actually printed off tens of thousands of flyers and walked them around every single house in Tahunga, Sunland, La Crescenta, and La Cañada. I got my first 10 clients that way, and I was off and running.
I don't know any other coach that's put in that kind of work. Back in the day, they sat back and they hoped. I mean, if you think about it, supply and demand was completely different back then.
It was.
There wasn't very many CrossFits. There weren't very many boot camps. Personal trainers were, at gyms far away, places that you and I weren't visiting. So then what happened? I mean, so you built a boot camp, right? You built an outdoor fitness program.
I did. I built an outdoor fitness program, and it actually blew up pretty quickly, which was great. I always knew I wanted to be a CrossFit, and I went ahead and affiliated pretty early on with my name. And then I started to look for buildings. Once again, I didn't have a lot of income, so I ended up in a church gym for about 1.5 years, which was fantastic because they were really struggling financially. And it was a great opportunity for me to get inside. They let me put up ropes. They let me put up pull-up bars. And so we operated out of that place for about a year and a half until I was able to get the financial backing in order to get into a real building.
Right. So you moved pretty quickly. Now, when you went indoors to the church, did you let go of the outdoor program, or did you run both simultaneously?
No, I let go of it. It was just too much to manage. And I really had my heart set on running a CrossFit gym.
Right.
Yeah.
You wanted the indoor component to kind of be the number one. Okay. So since you've already talked about a transition between outdoors, a semi-formal indoors, and then obviously a true brick and mortar strength and conditioning facility, a lot of folks are struggling to make those jumps, or they are nervous about hiring others. So you went from you were coached by someone, then you in turn became a coach of others, but now you had to find yourself in a role of coaching coaches or leading as a leader others on your staff. Was that new to you, or did you experience that in the world someplace else?
No, that was extremely new to me. And I quickly learned I did not have a penchant for it at all. It was really hard for me to be a leader. I don't know how else to put it. It was really difficult. I did not naturally fit into the role, and I struggled with that a great deal.
Okay. Did you end up, and we can talk about lessons learned, or we can talk about, folks that have helped you out along the way. This was probably by this time, I think we're talking maybe 2011, 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Who did you tap for help for that? Was there anyone out there that you remember as able to help facilitate you through your growth?
Yeah, there were a number of people. This gentleman, Jonathan Thomas, who was ex-military, helped me at first, and he was really great. And then I ended up getting fortunate enough to a kid named Eric Boyd, who came on, who had a real natural affinity for coaching others. And he and I butted heads all the time. But yeah, all the time. But he was great. He was a great coach. And ultimately, I was able to impart some information to him as far as how to coach others. And so I guess I ended up learning some leadership roles. Mary Ann Griffiths-Taylor also helped me out a lot on the back end. And then a woman named Julie Elkins, who wound up buying the gym for me, also kind of came on eventually. Right. So those are the big players, yeah.
I dig it. Yeah, you kind of find help from where you least kind of expect it to come from. And it for the better of the company, for the better of the brand, and of course, for the better of your clients. How about from the academic standpoint? Who did you ascribe to early on? Who were the coaches you looked up to, or who were the, let's say, the models that you built your brand around? Besides, let's say, the CrossFit methodology, was there anyone that stuck out as somebody that you read or you observed or that you trained under?
Well, I think in the beginning, I was kind of just absorbing everything I could. I remember doing everything from going to everything in the beginning was CrossFit. So it was kind of weightlifting with Mike Bergner or with his daughter. And then there was, I was able to take the nutrition certification through Rob Wolf at the time, which was pretty cool.
Yep.
And then you, I believe, introduced me to OPEX. And that actually became, and is still, the guiding methodology that I tried to sort of emulate or learn from. And then, of course, there was weightlifting, which became Greg Everett to Bob Takano. So kind of an amalgamation of all those, yeah.
Any that you fell in love with that you kind of pulled into your soul? I personally know your journeys in running, your journeys in weightlifting, obviously in CrossFit. Athletically, what are you doing today? Is there anything that you're on a journey to or a conquest to accomplish?
Yes, I guess it'd probably be functional bodybuilding. That's kind of like my new love.
Okay.
I just finished up a bodybuilding thing with Christian Thibodeau, out of curiosity, just kind of trying it out, and absolutely loved it. And so now I'm going to embark on the Marcus Philly sort of functional bodybuilding quest, kind of more to learn more. I'm going through my OPEX CCP level 1, finishing that up now. And I know that Marcus Philly is a big advocate of that brand as well. And so that's really kind of where I'm at. And especially as a 55-year-old woman who recognizes the importance of that, I'm kind of out of the realm of beating up my body for the sake of glory and more interested in some sort of longevity and, something that I can do for a while.
No, that makes sense. That makes total sense. I mean, you've been in the game long enough as a coach of clients to recognize that, like, the life cycle of the client. They come in super motivated, gung ho. They want it all. They're willing to push. They're willing to hammer themselves. And there's that rotation through time where they come out the back end and they think to themselves, like, okay, I've done enough. I've learned enough. I've explored enough. I'm, resiliency, durability, being able to just go out and play, hike, swim, bike, run, lift if you want to lift. I mean, it's been interesting to watch folks kind of transform into that. But there's something on the horizon. I should say, when you actually retired, you did something completely different than any of us thought. Where did you go? What did you do?
Well, when I sold my gym, I originally moved out here to start a survival school, believe it or not. I was really kind of...
Where is here, for those that don't know?
Oh, okay. North Carolina. So I moved to North Carolina, and I came out here to start a survival school. And I guess the long and short of it was I realized two things about myself. One is that I need intellectual stimulation, and survival is really cool and interesting, but not very intellectually stimulating. I love to cut down trees and live in the wild. I do, but it's boring after a time.
You go from boot camper to CrossFitter to weightlifting coach to OPEX coach to gym owner to coaching, training, teaching, developing coaches. Boom, sell the gym, open survival school. How did that actually even get into your head in the first place? Were you reading about it? Were you watching or listening to podcasts about it? How did it come about?
Yeah, to be quite honest, I was completely burnt out as a gym owner. I worked myself to the bone. I didn't know how to ask for enough help. I thought everyone had the magic formula and somehow I did not. So I must be doing it all wrong. And after years and years of 60-hour work weeks, I started going out on the weekends just to spend time alone in the wild. From there, I got this idea that maybe I wanted to live in the wilderness forever. Never come back. So I started taking classes.
That's going to be the name of this episode. I want to live in the wilderness forever.
Yes, exactly. And so I started taking classes on what I could do to survive. That's in California. I took those classes. Christopher Nurgis, great courses, but not really enough to really get you there. And so on a whim, I started doing some research. I found Sigma 3 Survival School out in Missouri. I took a 45-day class with them. I trained everybody at my gym to run the place while I was gone, meanwhile planting the seed in them to buy it when I got back, which ended up happening. And I had the time of my life. It was amazing.
Isn't that wild that in the moment when you were like, I'm gone, let me train these guys to do the job that I'm doing, and you in your mind, you were like, I'm out, I'm done, I'm finished. But you were able to completely train them up to speed and facilitate operations, daily operations, recruitment, training, retention, online, social media, marketing, all of it. You did it. You're able to tie the bow on it and hand them a gym, sell them a gym, and then chase your dream. Yeah. Pretty wild. So what happened in North Carolina? What happened to the dream of a survival school?
Two different things. One is I realized that the gentleman that I was going to go into business and I didn't really see eye to eye. And after my experiences in the past, I recognized I didn't want to go through that again.
Right.
That was number one. And number two, like I said, is I realized I needed more intellectual stimulation. Somewhere along that line, I decided that I was going to become a physical therapist. And so I know. I've always been this way, Eric. It's so hard for me to stick with one thing.
Our audience they're going to run out of paper what you've done. So I know. So today, right, you're in school, right, a DPT program.
Not yet. I did all the prereqs. So I took 2.5 years and I just went back to school to do all the prereqs, which was really cool for me because I was an artist in my first lifetime and I avoided science and math like the plague because honestly, I thought I was stupid. Well, I made all A's with 1 B in 2.5 years. And wow. It was a great experience for me because it really boosted my self-confidence and I learned so much and it was so fun. And then from there, now I start school in January And I'm really excited. It seems kind of like a natural progression for me, but I admit I don't really want to let go of coaching entirely.
Right. So I was going to say, so obviously, let's back up a little bit before we go forward. So the survival school kind of got put on the back burner and then obviously got knocked off completely. And so you picked up another role to facilitate obviously business or income, or whatever. You found an excellent gym. You found a great coaching staff. You found a great community. And so what are you doing today while you're at school? Which gym are you at? What classes do you coach and teach, or what programs are you responsible for?
Sure. Yeah. So I ended up landing at College Hill CrossFit. Pam Conto George is the owner, and she's fantastic. She's a great leader. And I actually got hired on by two places, and I chose their gym because I needed Pam. I needed a really good, strong female role model in my life, and she has definitely served that role. So I basically started off doing some group classes for them, and then quickly sort of segued and actually introduced their gym to personal training. They had never had anybody who did that there. And so that kind of became my role, where I sort of took people who'd never been able to do a handstand and got them over their fear and was able to do that. And I also became known as the weightlifting coach. And so even though we never got a weightlifting program off the ground, I definitely coached a number of folks on the side to improve their technique and those types of things.
Okay. And now, so that you're at still full-time, correct?
No, now I'm actually working I basically just have private clients. So that's what I'm doing right now by my own choice. As I prepare to go to grad school, and I'm trying to kind of build up that little side business of just coaching individual clients.
Got it. Excellent. Okay. And so that's where you said you still kind of employ the OPEX prescription for assessment and body move and work and kind of take them through. And then are you writing programming for them and letting them go on the floor, or are you one-on-one coaching them through the movements?
Both. So I have clients that I only work with in person, and I write the programming, obviously, and then they show up and we go through it together, or they do it and I coach them. And then I have clients that I write virtual programming for, that they do that on their own and send me videos, and I critique them, et cetera, in that manner.
Excellent. Any one of those clients weightlifting specific, or are they general population CrossFit?
General population CrossFit at this point, yeah.
Cool. Outstanding. So now, are you shadowing or are you working with any physical therapists right now to kind of see what that landscape might look like down the road?
No, I did do that in order to get into graduate school. We had to do, I think, 30 hours of watching. I think it was at least that. No, it was like 120 hours. It was a lot. And so I was able to watch all kinds of different physical therapists and how they worked and what their mannerisms were, and work in acute care settings and hospitals. And so I got a pretty good picture of what the role will entail.
And does that, in your mind's eye, provide, you think, enough academic stimulation, challenge, a role for you to be both educator as well as kind of therapist, healer, practitioner? Because I can see you in that role. Have you envisioned yourself yet in what work, quote unquote, would look like down the road?
Yeah, very much. I've given this a lot of thought. I really have. I actually love, James Fitzgerald did a really great talk on the difference between a physical therapist and a coach. And what he said was a physical therapist takes somebody from -5 to 0, and a coach takes somebody from 0 to +5. I really love the role of the coach from 0 to +5, but I also found it very interesting. I love the idea of taking somebody who's maybe not an athlete and introducing them to fitness through physical therapy. I used my mother as a great example of somebody who'd never trained a day in her life, got her into the gym to help with her hip, and lo and behold, she fell in love with fitness. I'm really interested in that population, I think.
I love it. No, I totally love it. And there's so many folks that they don't understand that role. And you've either got coaches trying to operate out of scope with individuals who are that -5, -4, -3, or you have therapists who are working with the -5, -3, trying to put them into +4, +5, and there's completely missing their audiences. So
yeah.
I'm happy you got a chance to kind of grow up in that 0 to +5. Now you're going in the opposite directions. You're going to have this huge capacity to be able to help. That's going to be huge.
That's what I'm hoping for. I think it sounds like it'd be pretty exciting.
Now, is there a role do you see in your local town and the local hospitals, or even adjacent to the gym you're currently working with, to bridge that gap between the clients that need your help? Have you kind of forecasted what maybe a business model would look like, or do you think you want to end up working on behalf of a hospital or in some kind of outpatient clinic?
I think that'll remain to be seen, but I believe that my ultimate goal is to work with the gym, kind of similar to College Hill. And actually, Pam and I have had this discussion. It's interesting because a lot of the people who train there actually work in a PT setting, like they're PAs and they work for a big physical therapy company. So there's already kind of like that, the athletes who happen to work in a PT setting, but there really isn't so far that crossover. And so, yes, I think that's exactly what I want. Is I'd love to be able to maybe work in a clinic where I have exposure to these people. I can give them physical therapy, and then I can say, by the way, and then sort of transition them over into the personal training space, and then set them free into the gym once they graduate from there.
Do you remember back in our area before you moved, did you ever remember Brandon Dunn's facility, the Physical Edge?
No, I don't. Yeah.
They were a private practice, a physical therapy practice that basically co-joined that model. They had PTs on the floor and a couple of trainers, like athletic trainers. And then as their, same thing like you said, as their -5s became -3s and -2s and -1s, they basically graduated them out of their PT role into a formalized, functional training, functional fitness model.
Love it.
They're still there today. I mean, that's talk about 20 plus years later. They've done really well. So I know that model works as long as you've got competency on both ends of the spectrum. You've got competent physical therapists as well as you've got competent coaches. And the handoff and the transition is both obviously needs to be legal, but at the same time, there needs to be care given for those, and not just like, hey, you've done your 5 sessions of PT, great, into group exercise you go.
Right.
It may not be the right way for some folks.
Right, for sure. What's the place called? The Edge or something you said?
Yeah, it's called the Physical Edge.
Physical Edge. Okay, I might have to check them out.
Yeah, for sure. I'll link you and Brandon up.
That's great. Okay.
So let's look backwards real quick. So you've got this massive, literally this like 4 different segments of your life. Hindsight being 2020. Any lessons learned? If you were to do it again, would anything change?
Wow. I guess the answer always ends up being no, because if one thing changed and that meant I didn't get to be where I am now, I wouldn't want it to change. But aside from that, biggest lessons learned are believe in yourself. Make sure you surround yourself with people who also believe in you, and ask for help. Yeah, those are the things.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, asking for help is challenging both for all business owners, men and women alike. I mean, it's how many times we get a chance to sit on the phone and talk through projects, talk through dilemmas. That's a huge piece. That's a massive, massive, huge piece. How about let's go the opposite direction. So instead of lessons learned, what are you the most proud of? Give from an accomplishment standpoint. It's oftentimes not common for us to pat ourselves on the back for jobs well done. But what are you the most proud of?
I'm really proud of Laurie Espinosa and Mike Melendez, 2 athletes that I taught how to do weightlifting from never having picked up a barbell to becoming national champions. I mean, I'm so proud of that. It's not the national champion, although that's nice. I love it. It's the idea that they went from 0 to the top of the field under my tutelage. So it gave me confidence that maybe I do know a thing or two, that maybe I wrote all their programming. It's imperfect. I look back, there are things I would have done different, but at the end of the day, I did that. And even better, they're both still involved in the sport and still doing well under new coaches. So that's great.
Outstanding. I remember reffing weightlifting sessions, watching you coach the platform, and you were on it. You were busy.
I was terrified.
There are coaches, and then there are jokers. And I'll tell you that you sit high on my list of coaches. You know what you're doing, plain and simple. And it's not just the care of the athlete and the development of the athlete. Like and maybe I can assign this to your time spent under Bob. like you get it. Like you understand the game, and you understand the sport, you understand the tactics, like all of that goes into really good weightlifting coaching, not just, and this is not to knock the CrossFit angle, because we were all CrossFit coaches.
Right.
It's not just 3, 2, 1, go for time, crap snatches, crap clean and jerks, ready to go. But like you said, you took somebody from introducing, like, here is a women's 15 kilo bar, and here's what we're going to do with it today, all the way to a national platform and a championship. That's huge.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. So utilizing our platform today in this In the Trenches series, because you've by far checked off the list of being in the trenches long enough, working with a whole host of different clients, both as coach one-on-one and as business owner, developing staff and learning under some of the best coaches, I would say in the world for the sport. A lot of our gym owners struggle through this last COVID turndown. We know that there's a lot of gyms that have closed, permanently closed. We know that there are gyms that have merged. So you had 2 gyms kind of crumbling, and they decided to merge forces. We've seen that happen about 20 times. And then there are those that are just, they're trainers, they're coaches, maybe they're remote or online, but nonetheless, they're struggling. I would say about 70% of our gym space is struggling right now. And so if you could use today's platform to deliver a message or to deliver some kind of an inspirational story or a poignant piece to maybe help pull them up, what would you say? What would be your thoughts around providing some insight?
I love Nathan's talk that he did with you, where he really talks about like the weekly assessment. I guess it's finding the real why. You do have to know what your why is from the beginning. And sometimes we lose sight of that. So I would say go back, reevaluate what your why is, why you're doing it. And then from there, seek inspiration, watch videos, read, whatever it takes, because dude, we all get down. We all feel like failure sometimes. It's really hard to pick yourself up. So reach out to someone, just do something other than, if it's not working, change your modus operandi and just keep going.
Right on. Outstanding. Yeah. For those that have watched today, I sincerely appreciate you guys taking your time out and kind of digging in on this. If anybody wants to reach out to you, Shannon, how can they find you? Where do you post? Where do you write? Where do you present? What are your social media tags?
Sure. So right now, my new moniker for my new little my coaching business is Unstoppable Athletics. So it's Unstoppable Athletics, TIX with athletics. And you can find me there at Instagram. And then it's Shannon Franklin at Facebook. And you can also contact me through College Hill CrossFit, and it's Shannon at College Hill CrossFit. It's actually changed to College Hill Collective, but my email is still College Hill CrossFit.
CrossFit, understood.
Yeah.
Well, it has been wonderful to catch up. I sincerely appreciate your time. And this is just, it's like having family on. So I was really happy to have you on today.
Yeah, it was really great. Thank you so much, Eric. I had a blast.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, make sure you like our channel, subscribe, and check out our other videos right here.